welcome to my workshop. In today's video I want to show you two really interesting items I've picked up on Banggood. First of all, I'm going to show you this really high quality half gauge from Hongdui, and after that an absolutely fantastic set of dogs you can pick up on Banggood. These are from Hongdui as well. Hongdui collaborated with somebody you actually may know to create them, to design them, making sure they are ever so useful to you and to me in our daily jobs and at a very high quality. I'll tell you who that is later on in the video. So let's check them out and see if they could be useful in your workshop. That's the packaging and how they arrived to my workshop. First of all, I'm gonna show you the half gauge. Normal packaging, nothing fancy, but hey, it did arrive intact and in perfect condition. And this one is quite heavy. It's all casted aluminium. Over here, the gauge itself, I think that's stainless steel. On the back, you do have a brass knob over here and brass caps. Underneath them, you've got two magnets. Unfortunately, there's one part that's actually made from plastic. It's this lever here. However, overall, the quality is absolutely superb. No blemishes on the paintwork. And yeah, it just looks very, very premium. As you can see, the scales white on black. You've got inches on one side, millimeters on the other. Now, the full name of this is half gauge HD30 from Hongdui. So what does it actually do? Well, you place your material just over here underneath that ledge and it will give you exact halfway, okay? So half point of the thickness of your material. And I'm going to show you in what situations that potentially could be useful. So the maximum height over here is about 76 millimeters. And to lock this in place, well, you do have that brass knob at the back and that's locked at this certain height. So you may wonder what this does. Well, it will enable you to actually pull the stainless steel marker a little bit out, as at the minute, for example, on this height, you see the marker is too far in. So as you unlock this, you can pull this out and then lock it in place. And there you go. Now the marker is past that point there. Now to use this jig, it's super simple. However, what you're gonna need is a nice flat true surface, okay? In my case, I've got this piece of melamine board, absolutely perfect for this. So let's say I want to mark up the middle point of this board. And to do that, grab your jig, the material, and you do have this flat surface on the jig here. Basically, we need to offer that just like that. Lock it in place with that brass knot at the back, and now that's our middle point of the board. And with that done, we can quite easily mark up our piece of work. And hopefully you can see a clear line on our piece of timber with no issues at all. And same on this side as well. Really nice tool to mark up the middle point of your board. Similar thing if you've got something a little bit wider, a little bit thicker. Again, drop that down on your piece of material. Now that's set up at half point. And remember, if that blade is too far back, simply unlock it, take the blade out just a little bit, lock it down in place, and that's it. You can mark up your work. There you go, perfect crisp line across your boards. But that's not everything. If you do have a dowel that you want to find the center point, for example, if it's a leg of your table or for example your stool, anything like that, and you do want to find the center of that, well, again, quite simply offer that to our jig, drop it down so it touches it, lock it in place, and now quite easily and quite simply you can mark off the middle. And there you have it, the center of the dowel has been found. Now, as you can see, it's absolutely a perfect jig to find the centers of your boards or your dowels or anything like that. However, you know, there's more ways of using this. Now, let's say I've got this piece of timber and I want to create a tenant. Well, this will be absolutely perfect to measure out the cut lines. And to do that, well, basically we need to set up a distance that we want to mark up. Let's say I want 7 millimeters from the edges of the board. And therefore, the jig over here needs to be set up to 14 millimeters. And it's super easy to do, very accurate. You do have those tiny pins right inside to indicate where you are exactly. So let's mark up our board. And obviously the size of the tenon up to you. However, I'm again going to leave the same distance. Now I think the lines are quite visible and easy to follow, but I'm just going to use my pencil to get them even sharper so they're easier to see. And there you go, far better visibility of the lines. It's just accurate, and that's what you want from a jig of this type. I did measure the readings with the calipers and they are absolutely bob on. So yeah, from that perspective, overall, very nice quality. Quite handy device to have around the workshop. And now it's time to check out the set of bench dogs I've got from Banggood. Let's have a look at them. Now the packaging again is quite basic, however the product itself does come in this nice box, as you can see, and it is quite substantial. It's nice, quite solid plastic. Or even this, check that out, what a beautiful box with the Hongdui logo. And over here you do get dogs like these. That top there is some sort of a rubber, so your material as you put it on top won't slide about if you want to, for example, sand it or anything like that. So that's quite neat as well. So let's have a look at them. What do you actually get in those boxes? So these are absolutely perfect if you want to create a fence with an aluminium extrusion to help you out, guide and square up your materials when, for example, you are using a track saw to cut things out. So absolutely dead handy there. As you can see, they do have a star knob and a T-nut right at the back here to allow you to mount an aluminium extrusion. Also, they do have a threaded inside as well. Let's check out the second mystery box, okay? Look at that, absolutely gorgeously packed with some spare parts. But look at that, absolutely gorgeous. They're just made so well, and they do have some really cool features as well. Again, threaded inside, and as you can see, it does have 3 rubber rings. What that does, actually, you do put pressure on them, and as you do up the dog itself, it will expand those rings, making sure the dog itself is sitting in your workbench really nicely and tightly. And as you can see, it does have 3 rings. That means even though thicker workbenches will take advantage of this as well. And in this set you do get 2 of them. On top of it you do get these plugs as well, and underneath here what you do have, these will allow you to actually mount your dogs on the wall or somewhere on your workbench, so you've got a nice, quick and easy access. And there you go, very nice and sleek. And this is highly customizable, okay? You can change the layout of this as you want. However, for me, I think this will work just fine. So for example, in the bottom layer, we're going to place our extra accessories. And the holes in the top, they are actually larger, so the dogs will go through, okay? And that means they're not going to be sticking up too high. I think that's absolutely perfect scenario. So that's one of the options you can get. Let's check out the last and third box. In the third box, we've got these very long dogs. This time you do have 2 rubber rings, again, threaded insert there. This is absolutely perfect if you are using a track saw and want to square up your piece of work. And yes, you do get another set of the storing component. And an extra cool feature is, well, you can connect the sets with each other, just like so. And you do have this really nice pin that goes in the middle slot. And there you go, super cool set. We can even add these at the ends or wherever you want them. Absolutely brilliant. Overall, the quality of them seem to be absolutely fantastic. They're milled to perfection. And one thing that I want to mention about these, well, Hongdui made them with collaboration with Dennis from Hooked on Wood. If you don't know that channel, you should. It's a fantastic channel with plenty of knowledge there. And that means that this set is designed by someone that actually uses them in their daily work. So now I'm going to show you some key features that these dogs have that others don't. So let's have a closer look at them. Over here, as you can see, hopefully they do have a lip. So if you do a chamfer around your dog holes, then they will rest on that. Absolutely great feature there. But have a look. What you can do is actually fully disassemble them. Just like that. Same with these ones. Just like that. And that will give you a couple of options, okay? So we can actually swap the pieces between. So now our long dog does have 3 rubber rings if, for example, your workbench is a little bit thicker. However, the more components you actually purchase from these sets, the more options you're gonna have. Check this out. So we do have this base. It's not gonna fall apart, okay? And you can use this in many scenarios. For example, we'll go inside your dog holes and we'll stop just like that, just below the surface of your workbench. And now you do have a threaded insert there that you can utilize in many ways. For example, some jigs. And remember, the rings will expand and will lock your jig, whatever it may be, in place in a solid and stable way. Also in this set you do get these covers that you can place on top, and there you go, nice flush, nothing will fall inside. So as you can see, they do give you a lot of options beyond the normal usage. But if you do them up just like so, tell you what, that is not going up. That is super nice and stable. And that's important if you want to put something against it and you don't want the dog to actually move on you. As for example, you're making a cutter using your router on it, and you just undo it and pull it out, no issues. Now where it comes to these, they are very helpful, as I said before, if you do have some sort of a aluminium extrusion, okay, that you want to create a fence or a support line on your workbench. So with them, you know, as you place them in, there will be a bit of wiggle room. However, you can thread something from underneath and lock them in place so they will not move. But there is another version of these that actually don't have that dog over here. Instead, they do have a threaded rod like this one. And that means you can utilize these ends with those. I'm going to leave some links to these and the other version of them as well, so you can see the difference. Unfortunately, I don't have them. However, these will work with any aluminium extrusions. As you can see, they fit perfectly. You can whack them in place, and now you've got a solid fence on your workbench that will give you straight and accurate cuts at 90 degrees every single time. For example, if you are using a track saw, or maybe like in this case, if you want to put something against the fence so you got a better control over the whole project. So very cool addition as well. Plus, for example, if you do have a project, you want to sand it or maybe paint it, well, grab 4 of these dogs with the rubber tops, whack them into your workbench. That will make sure your workpiece is slightly elevated off your workbench, and They will make sure that your piece of material stays in place, doesn't move on you as you work on it. Absolutely fantastic little idea there. I think these are very unique and at high quality. Plus, with all the extra features, like the ability to take them apart and use just certain components of them, or swap components between different sets, make them very, very unique and interesting. They will definitely give you far more flexibility when it comes to your setups. Now, unfortunately, I don't have all the pieces that make this series of dogs and all the accessories for it. However, I'm going to try to leave links to every single piece, every single component you can actually get for these series, as I really think it is worth it. Saying that, it doesn't mean you have to get everything to get the most out of it. Just pick the ones you think you will need most, and later on down the line, if you're going to be expanding your projects or your jigs, for example, you can purchase additional pieces. I think in that way it's quite smart, as well these are not super cheap. However, I do believe that the price of them is a little bit justified. The quality is fantastic and they do give you a lot of options rather than just those normal standard dogs. However, at this point I just want to say a massive thank you to my Patreons for the ongoing support. Now, before you go, check out these two cool playlists. Plenty of great videos already there, so click on them and maybe you'll find your next video to watch. For today, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.